Here is called VLOOKUP, and we're using the first tab called VLOOKUP exercise. So let's say you were a teacher and you had a bunch of students here and you had some score for them. Right now it's just a random score, just for fun. And I want to look up their score in this table and give them the appropriate letter grade. So the magic command is VLOOKUP. There's also, V stands for vertical here because my table is oriented vertically. If I had a horizontally oriented table, there would be HLOOKUP. There is HLOOKUP. There's also a lookup without a V or an H, but I've never used that, so it can't be important, right? So the first thing is the lookup value. So what do you want to look up in the table? So I want to look up that letter, or that score. The table array, and here you don't want the words at the top, you just want the table body itself. And I'm going to be filling this down here, so I want to lock the reference to that table. So I'm going to put in my $signs there. So it's going to look up this.
How do you do that again?
On a Mac, it's Command T. On a PC, it's F4. On OpenOffice, it's Shift F4. It'll look up this number in the very first column of the table that I give it. There's no way to change which column number it looks up in. But then I want to get back results from which column of the table. Column 1, column 2, or column 3. Column 3 is what I want to get results back from. And do I want it to do a range lookup or an exact lookup? I want a range because I'm not expecting to find exactly this number in the table. So the answer to range lookup is true. I want a range lookup. If I didn't want a range lookup, let me show the, I guess it's like, if I didn't want one, I would say false. Okay, so the 65, according to this table, should be a D. But the random numbers changed when I hit enter. So now this 88 gives me a B there, right? Notice it's not actually paying attention to these at all. It just looks up this 88, and I guess it looks for, how would you say that? The row where the number on that row is smaller than the number you're giving it, but the next row is bigger than it. So I always have to take a second to remember exactly how its ranges work. Like, will it give me the thing before the 80 or after the 80? But if I delete this, you see it keeps working, right? I could put stuff there, and it doesn't care. On the other hand, these numbers to do a range lookup have to be in increasing order. It will get confused if you give it decreasing order. So there's the grades. So any questions on that? So then let's say I want to give a little personal looking comment. I want to pretend I want to look like I care about each student, right? So I want to use this table of comments based on their grade. So I want to VLOOKUP the grade here in this table. I want column 2 back. And do I want a range lookup here? No, so I type false. And what do you notice about this table? It's got A, B, E, D, C. It's not in increasing order. It's because I'm doing an exact lookup, it just looks until it finds something that exactly matches. And so, in fact, these could be words, right? If I had a bunch of last names and first names and I wanted to look up someone's last name, I could have a table of last names over here. They don't have to be in alphabetical order. I could even have the same thing twice, and we could see what happens. Let's see, like we could put another E there and see what does it do for E? Does it give me the first or the second one? Apparently it stops at whichever first one it finds. All right, so that's VLOOKUP. Oh, another important thing, what if there's no entry to match something it's trying to VLOOKUP? Then it gives you an NA, which can actually cause trouble if you're trying to take averages, because then your average is NA. So you can do other stuff to say, well, if I got an NA, then do this. So that's VLOOKUP.
You have to put an if around the VLOOKUP?
Yeah, so actually we could try that. You'd be tempted to say if VLOOKUP, if is NA VLOOKUP like this, then give me didn't find it. But then if it wasn't not applicable, then what value do I want? I want that whole VLOOKUP thing, right? So I'd have to copy this and paste it there. So I guess I'll do that just for posterity. And we'll get some new random numbers. Okay, so then it says didn't find it, right? Or I could put a 0 in there or something. But that's kind of a pain to have to repeat the same thing. So there's something called if error, where if there's some kind of error like NA or divide by 0, I'm not sure exactly what counts as an error, it will say, it'll do the thing you told it to, but if there isn't an error, then it just gives you the value of this thing that it checked. So that's nice, you don't have to duplicate it. So you can see it's working there. All right.